So, hello Outer Lives Nation, I'm here with Louis, the producer on Robocraft Infinity, which has just launched on Xbox One. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Excited, happy. Finally got the product out. We've been working on it for so long, so it's nice to see people playing it.
It's been in the oven a while, especially coming from the PC launch.
It's been a little while. So, and I think it's just nice to see it in the hands of players for so many months. And over the last year, we've been working on it ourselves, and we've only managed to have ourselves play it. So it's really good to see.
First time I was generally made aware of it was the closed beta, not the one just before launch, the one prior to that, where we weren't allowed to share footage, and like the game just felt like Minecraft met Robot Wars, and it was pure heaven. I genuinely have not had so much fun since playing a game. Literally, our housemates just sat around the day just making the robots, not even necessarily doing the multiplayer, just making our own dream robots, and a failed attempt at a TIE fighter, which we won't mention. But yeah, it's crazy. So I've got a few questions.
Sure.
We'll start with the first one. Yes, it's now on Xbox One. When's it coming to PS4? Because that's the one we got the most.
Oh, well, we currently have no plans to port to the PS4. Our main focus is working on Xbox.
That's fine. You're a week out. I think we'll allow you to have a week before announcing the PS4 version. So just Xbox at the moment.
Just Xbox, but that is our main focus.
And with the Xbox, and correct me if I'm wrong here, this is the first game launching from idea Xbox with the Xbox Game Pass program, which was huge. Like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. How the hell did that happen?
Well, I think obviously Xbox were interested in the product originally. They approached us. It works quite well in Game Pass because it is a game that you could just quite easily get into. Obviously, for us, it was a great benefit because as it's a multiplayer game, we want the largest audience we can. We benefit from the players coming from Games Pass, just really bolstering the audience that we have.
Did you see like a similar success to Rocket League when they came out with PS Plus and did astronomically well? Like, obviously, a different game. You're not going to play soccer unless you add that mode in. Ideas, guys.
No plans here,
yeah. No, but like, are you hoping to sort of similar success, or your own thing? You're gonna.
Well, we were already fairly happy with what we've seen from Games Pass already. It's exceeded our expectations.
That's great.
We can see in our back end the kind of percentage distribution of players coming from just having purchased the game up front to Games Pass, and it's a really high, a good percentage coming from Games Pass.
Well, that's happy. I'm very happy to hear that. So you've got scheduled updates. You announced that on your launch page, and people on the Reddit were asking about certain weapons in the trailer. Do you have a pipeline sort of timeline that you could give on certain content updates? Will there be one available fairly soon?
So for some of the parts that people might have already seen in the trailer, those will be releasing every other week, roughly. We've got the first one releasing this Friday.
Brilliant.
So our main aim there was some of the parts really do shift the meta quite drastically. So some are really beneficial to ground, some to air, some to specifically tanky robots, vice versa, smaller robots. And we didn't really want to just chuck out what has been 4 years of balancing and changing on the PC version directly to the Xbox audience. So our thoughts were, we'll release these all for free. Obviously, we're not charging for any of these updates, and we'll just release them every other week so that way we give them 2 new parts for the next. I think we've got 4 updates. I think it's 6 parts coming out, 8 parts. I'll have to correct myself later in there.
But it's on the website.
Yeah, it'll be every 2 weeks from the initial launch of the first 2 parts, and they'll basically just freshen up the meta each 2 weeks, plus allow people to kind of slowly digest these new parts and see how best they can.
And will they be implemented in the cosmetic crates system?
They're parts that are part of the normal crate system.
Oh, normal crate system.
So they're not paid for at all. They're free.
So just level up. You get your crate.
Just get a crate. Just get it, or buy it directly if you've got the robot points there.
Yeah, so, brilliant. That's. I think people will be very happy about not having to pay for a chain gun.
Yeah. Well, by the time this comes out, you'll already know that the first 2 are the chain gun and the rotor that are coming out. So.
Well, there you go, guys.
Yeah.
That's the one I was waiting for. Yes.
So you'll have a new flying part, and obviously the
is that generally the plan to have one air and one land part come out?
Not necessarily. The idea would be in most cases that we would try and pair 2 things. So it might be a movement type in a weapon, or maybe a module in a weapon, or a movement type in a module. We'll try and pair them as often as possible to be two separate parts that come together.
It's really cool. Speaking of the weapons and the balance from 4 years of Robocraft on PC, how different has the transition been from PC to Xbox? Have you noticed different play styles, and how have you taken the balances that you've made on PC and put them over to Xbox, and have they been successful?
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely some things that we maybe didn't anticipate as well. So obviously it's harder to aim on a console than it is on a PC. You just have a little bit more freedom on a PC to aim, which has meant that some parts, like rails, that are quite aim intensive, are maybe a little bit harder to hit with. Yeah. Funnily enough, people tell us they're OP, so maybe it's not as hard as I mean,
they hit hard when they hit.
But we definitely noticed that every weapon is OP, so surely that means that mostly...
Yeah, I mean, in a world full of overpowered things, is anything truly overpowered?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there are definitely things we're going to learn from this launch, things that we obviously aren't as experienced in on console that will improve, but we're okay with the responses we've seen so far. It'll really be... That's okay. It'll be quite telling if there are any changes that come with the new items that are released. Those will affect it the most, so...
Well, you'll be keeping a close eye on.
Yeah. I mean, we're obviously responding to all feedback and keeping an eye on forums like Twitter. Obviously, we're going on Reddit and Facebook.
Yeah, the Reddit is a great source of just seeing what people build more than anything. And I think the one consensus is with the in-game player store, where you can find what custom created content. Is there going to be improvements to that? I think the number one thing I saw was people asking for gamertag specific searching, and whether that can be something easily implemented or hard, I'm not sure, but definitely more options to search that store.
Yeah. So there's already at least a couple of options that we'll be adding to the store as soon as possible. The searching by player name is definitely something we want to do. It's not a super simple update, unfortunately, as we discovered in development, but it will be something that we would like to do as soon as possible, because obviously it's a feature that's on the PC where you can search by the uploader, so it makes sense to us to have that feature in. But obviously don't have any timelines for it, but as soon as we can get it in reasonably.
That's cool to know. Also, another question from the Reddit. They're on fire. They were just asking simply, are we going to get stats? So maybe how much we shoot in a round, what percentage of bits did we blow off? If that's... It's not a euphemism, is it? We can get away with that one.
I think you're probably right.
Looking down in shame there, Andy. And also clan support was in the same question.
So, I mean, we definitely have some intentions with clans in future. I won't go into further detail really about it now, but suffice to say that is a plan of ours at some point. We have so many things planned. It's really
it's hard to say without announcing them.
Honestly,
that's fine.
I'm trying to control what I can say.
But yeah, with the stat tracking, is that a possibility? Because
again, stat tracking is definitely we've got some already there.
Yeah.
It's a possibility for us to add those to the Microsoft backend because they do have some stat tracking, but obviously it's quite a niche thing. Stat tracking. So the hardcore players, the most engaged players, would really love it, but. Because they're not so much the vast majority, it might be more of a confusing thing. I assume it's probably not something that we're adding in a rush.
That's fine.
If people want it and they go on forums and Twitters,
we want to know how many laser blasts I am firing on my thing, which is just laser cats.
Yeah, like I said, if you guys tell us, we will add.
That's brilliant. And a few personal things, more specific, catered towards the building of it. I think that's fundamentally the key part that I just a childhood fantasy fulfilled, being able to try and build a Gundam or a Pacific Rim Jaeger. And I've seen some on the store that they've tried and they've come very close. Are we going to get more customized? That's when customization options, more colours down the line. Right now there's a basic palette, but could we see more and maybe different types like vinyl or metallic paint, essentially?
We definitely have some intentions to add some more customization, whether it be through colours or new parts. I mean, we add new parts on the PC fairly regularly. I don't see why anything that was added on there wouldn't eventually make its way over the console. Same way as we have intentions to release things on console that won't be on PC. So it's one of the benefits from moving from a free-to-play to pay-to-play. pay up front option is that we can add things that maybe wouldn't be so easily added on the PC version.
Is there any chance of a crossover, or are they too different of games to
I
have
think
that crossplay?
I think even just the unfairness of one side has a controller and the other has the keyboard and mouse. I'm not trying to play any PC Master Race console over here, but it's quite obvious that the PC guys just have a little bit more control, and it would probably be a bit unfair to put them into matches and say they were fairly matched.
Yes,
I think it'd be a little bit unfair to say so.
That's fair. I mean, Microsoft have expressed interest in putting mouse and keyboard support into games on the Xbox. So is that an option you would be willing to look into?
Yeah, again, like I said, if the community are really interested in it and it's something we can do, then it would behoove us to do it.
It's something. So you're very much community driven. Like you have your plans of content that you want to get out. Chain Gun this Friday if it's out before, but if not, so. Yeah, so like you've got that, but if the community are crying out that the railguns are just too powerful, that'll sort of also help
Absolutely.
the guide development. That's the best thing.
I think it would be a mistake for any developer to completely ignore their community. I mean, there's definitely an argument to sometimes be said that the player base think they want something, but they don't. Yeah. But I think in a lot of cases when they tell you they really want something or they really dislike something, there's often a good reason behind it. So
that's a brilliant answer, actually. How is it finding the difference between ground units and air mechs? Like, how is that balance? Because most times I find that I'm taking out air units fairly easy, but then you get that one air unit that just comes along and ruins my day. It doesn't actually ruin my day, but just completely wrecks house. And how tough is that to balance?
Well, it's definitely not easy. I mean, you do have some innate benefits to both, right? I mean, ground is hard. It's easy for you to hide. You've got more places to hide behind, but you also lose the kind of controlling vision of the map which flyers have. On the other hand, flyers are exposed. They're up in the sky. There's not really anything for them to hide behind, but they also do have quite a lot of agility as opposed to a lot of ground vehicles that don't, as well as speed. It is a challenge, and I think flying, especially good flyers, are definitely rare because it requires not only a good understanding of building, but a good understanding of how to use the advantages you have of vision and your speed to really be able to kind of duck and dive in and out of cover. I have, and I still believe that some of the best players are flyers, and they have been in the past because they have such a challenging role. They're often forced to really outplay themselves. I tend to think ground generally has the advantage though, just because it's where the majority of players are. So the majority of players are looking up for flyers. It's easier to counter, and there are a lot more anti-air than there is anti-ground. But because of the extra advantages of flyers, I think it's still a worthy role to go with. And like I said, a good flyer is pretty devastating.
Yeah.
They have so much control on the map.
It is terrifying seeing this giant black bird coming in, and I'm like, oh, bye cubes, bye everything, day ruined. Again, not actually day ruined. It's very fun to play it. I'm shilling it out here. I do genuinely love this game. But the one thing, and this is a personal thing, so to speak, is the accessibility in the game. Like, is there any way there could be implementation of just button mapping? Because you've got the control scheme in game, which is fine, and I can tolerate switching my triggers through the Xbox control settings. But when it comes to actually mapping the controller, there's no support for that, and that is the one thing that I really want to see more of in gaming, and I think there's a bigger and bigger cry for that to become a norm, and that's just something I wanted to address with you right now.
We have seen some complaints of people who'd like to be able to access or change the controllers. It's not something we have planned for the next launch, but again, if the community are asking for it, it's something that we can do. It's not impossible for us to do.
Yes,
unfortunately, we just have so many other things we want to do first that it's always going to feel for us like something that's a slightly lower down importance. But again, if the community say that they want it, then we can definitely do it.
And I totally appreciate that. It's obviously there is the general consensus, and then there is the smaller niche of people like me who just need that option. But there is ways around it. There is circumventing it. I mean, I played Assassin's Creed, God knows, jankily holding my arm under that with the controller and crawling. It was a mess. But then it's alright. Origins came out, fixed it. It's great. But yeah, it'd just be a nice quality of life feature that I'd like to see in the game. And if enough people on the Reddit start asking for it, maybe we can get it. I don't know. I suppose I'll just throw a few things to you. Just, is there anything you want to say that you like that you've experienced from this first week of the game, and any fears that you've seen in the community that you want to address via Twitter, or any feedback you want to address right now, like.
Well, firstly, I'd like to say thanks for playing. I mean, we've had such an outstanding amount of players play the game. They've been really positive, so obviously it's great to see. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Know that we have a lot more content planned to come out, and we're already working on it, but obviously I can't be too specific about what that is. No. We obviously plan on releasing parts freely, regularly for players to have access. I guess one thing I'd like to say to players is that we have a lot more freedom on the Infinity version than we may have done on the PC version. So there will be some fairly major changes coming. Again, I can't really specify what those are, but they are coming.
There's a tease.
And we are planning regular updates. For the Infinity version that will be coming out over the next few months. So.
I mean, and being like, since you have got a relationship with Microsoft, could we see a Master Chief skins packs or anything like that coming?
No, I don't want to speak for Microsoft.
Oh, well, fair enough then.
But it'd be a great thing if they want to allow us to do it.
Yeah,
we wouldn't argue with
a giant actual official Robocraft scarab would be great. Giant railgun on the back of it, blowing up things in the sky. I wouldn't complain at that. But yeah, thank you very much for your time, and I'm sure everyone who watches or listens to this will appreciate it. And again, if you want to throw to where they can find you to give you feedback.
Sure, yeah. Please either visit us on the Robocraft Infinity subreddit, you can tweet us at Robocraft Inf, or you can see us on Facebook.
Yeah, well, there you go. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much,
brilliant.
guys.